Hey everybody, it is Men Cry in the Car podcast. It's Lynn Meyer, your host, the HRT coach. You know, it stands for Healing, Restoration, and Transformation. Today, we have a wonderful guest, as always, but we have a wonderful guest, and we titled it Life is Sweet. We know life is sweet because things can happen, but we turn those disasters or trials and tribulations into like yummy desserts and deliciousness, right? And so today we have Val that's going to come on from Val's Cheesecakes. First of all, if you're in the DFW area and you haven't been around for 12 years or you haven't tried these cheesecakes, what are you doing? What are you doing? We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about all the things that he wants to discuss. But what I want to do is bring on my guest today, and we're going to bring on Val. Yay!
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
in the building. Yay! Thank you so much, Val. Thank you so much. I understand that you actually will not be able to spend a lot of time with us today, but we still appreciate you being here.
Well,
So,
thank you for having me, Lynn.
yeah, so just real quick, just tell the people like who you are and
Uh-huh.
why they need to know you.
Why do you need to know me? Well, I'm Val's Cheesecakes. We kind of like to think that we brought cheesecake to Dallas, but that's not the. I feel there's some people who feel different about it, but I've been baking cheesecakes for 12 years here in Dallas. And I moved here in 2008. I just took care of my mom through terminal breast cancer, and every single Sunday we bake one cheesecake. So every single cheesecakes cheesecake that's on the menu is a specific Sunday with her. So it was a real connection that I had with my mom, and we bonded over cheesecake for 4 years. And so that's how the business started. It started out of me taking care of my mom. And the
Mm.
reason you should know us is because I like to think we got the best cheesecake in Texas. And also, we got the best cheesecake class, okay, in the country, in the entire country. This is the best cheesecake class in the country, period. Pooch.
I believe that now. I haven't tried the classes, but we have definitely tried. I think we had about six different cheesecakes. My sister had like the lemon one. I had the bay cheesecake
Huh?
or something like that. I had that one. My children had like strawberry.
Uh-huh.
Another one had like oh my goodness, there was so many like a
Chocolate.
turtle cheesecake or something. I don't know. It was just we had like six different ones because we didn't know which one, and we all just like nibbled on it. And I must say, it is the best cheesecake I have ever tasted. Simply
Oh,
because
thank you,
it's very
man.
light. It's very light. It's not heavy. It's not overly sweet. Like it's delicious. Anyway, y'all go
Yes.
and follow on Instagram, other
Val.
platforms about cheesecake because you
Uh-huh.
have to try it. I want to jump in though. You had just said you were taking care of your mom.
Yes.
Um, that terrible, terrible, terrible disease, cancer, affected my life as well. We lost my sister 12 years ago. And so just doing that, it
So
just
around the
wears and
same
tears on the
time,
body.
it is around the same time we lost
Mhm.
somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. And so just, you don't have to go into like the disease, but tell us just a little bit like how you had to show up for yourself, your mom, and like the emotions and thoughts and feelings that was going on there. Because I'm pretty sure there was many times that you felt like you wanted to cry in the car or just escape to different places. But like, what was going on at that time as far as like emotions
Wow.
and feelings for you?
That is, I guess what's hitting me right now is what you
Mhm.
just said is crying in the car. And I did a lot of that. I did a lot of that because I was working at the city of Arlington as a civil engineer. And then I had my full time job because I had to keep my full time job to support my mom, and I wanted the best care for my mom. I didn't want to put my mom in a hospice. I didn't want to put my mom in a nursing home. So a lot of that salary at the city of Arlington went into hiring nurses and getting help from the government as well. But a lot of money went into getting a nurse there. So we wanted to make sure, I wanted to make sure that she was well taken care of. So when I say crying in the car, I had the opportunity and the legal rights to talk to doctors and for them to give me the information first. So meaning if we had an appointment, and especially a specific one, there was this specific one where we thought the cancer was regressing and it wasn't. So I had to talk to the doctor first while I'm sitting at my desk at the city of Arlington. And then the doctor tell me, no, Val, it's actually getting even, it's growing faster than we thought. So,
Yeah.
so between getting the news at the city of Arlington, right, and my mom lives in Uptown Dallas with me, so between Arlington, it's about a 25-minute drive,
Mhm.
and I had to like let it all out. I had to figure out how I'm gonna tell this woman by the time I get to Dallas after 25 miles. Somehow I need to have it together
Mhm.
to say what I'm gonna say and to take her to the doctor and make sure she can digest that. And a lot of times the whole story about Val's cheesecake is because I refuse my mom to hear the word terminal. I made that a purpose in my life that she never heard that. Some people feel that I hid the diagnosis and stuff. I've heard a lot of things over the years, but I didn't want my mother to hear that. So
Mhm.
when I first got the news from the doctor in 2008, we went back into the room and told her something different because the doctor gave me 6 months, but my mom actually gave me 4 years. So when I think about crying in the car, I've done a lot of that between the job and getting to my mom because once I got to my mom, I had to pull it together. Okay, so here is
Mm.
this woman who is dying slowly
Mm.
every day, and then you're not going to show up. I couldn't show up to her crying and losing it. I had to have it together. So
Mm.
there has been a lot of crying in that car,
Mhm.
in that in that BMW I had at that time, but I don't have that no more. But there was a lot of
Mm.
crying for sure that I did in the car, and just mad. I was just mad at the cancer. There was just like, oh my God, there was days I'm like, if I could just kill cancer somehow, but there was a lot of crying in the car now that I think about it and how this show here, this podcast is called that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think about what you just said, how you felt like you needed to keep it together, hold it together for her. I mean, I can imagine because we did that with my sister too. But tell me the reason you felt like you just had to keep it together. Is it one of those things like, I'm a man, I got to be strong. I got to be like, what was the reason or what was going on in your head for you to say, I got to keep it together and not show the emotion that I'm really feeling?
I think one of the things that stands out is my mom getting. So there was a lot of. She had metastatic breast cancer that had spread on the lungs and liver and spleen in her
Oh my God.
everywhere, and she had a lot of liquid in her lungs. And they had to one specific doctor appointment. They had to hunch her over a table and then put this needle in her back, and pierce through the rib cage to get to the liquid so they can drain the liquid out. And I just never forgot that. My mom's yelling and the fact that she went through that.
Mhm.
There is like, if this woman can withstand going through breast cancer, terminal breast cancer, and literally Lynn dying that's how I saw it, because a little piece of my mom died every single day, so to me it was very important. If she can go through that, if she can go through all this, I think I can muster the strength to have it together, to listen clearly what the doctor is saying, what the doctor is not saying, find space for her to believe in herself and not fall into the perception of what terminal disease is. I needed to keep it together. Yeah, I'm going to keep it together because this woman just had a needle the life of this long going through her back, and she managed to deal with that, and I can't deal. And that was the equation. You know, as a civil engineer, that was the equation in my mind that I had to do. I'm like, there was no way that I'm gonna lose it. If this woman can go through that, I can definitely help and definitely prevent her from falling into that diagnosis. That was the situation. That was the math.
Okay. And that makes perfect sense. And as I said before, I can go back and forth. Like I'll take myself off the screen and bring you up. But when you said that, it took me back to my sister. And on this podcast, we cry, we share, we all those things. So I will not stop myself from being in the space that you just allow me to be in. Thank you for sharing that, because a lot of times people don't want to talk about it. And the fact that I allowed myself to go there with you, um, similar situation with my sister too. And so thank you for sharing that. And it also makes me think about the word vulnerable. And so when you hear the word vulnerable, like what comes to mind for you?
To me, vulnerable is something I think even as a caregiver, you know, you're not supposed to show you don't you're not supposed to show any frustrations, you know. And throughout my 4 years of caregiving for her, I was the only child that was caregiving for her, you know, 24/7. And and I got frustrated. There were some days I got frustrated in something that caregivers are not supposed to do at all. They're not supposed to say at all, is that you get frustrated with the person that you're caregiving for. Like, it's like completely
Mhm.
unheard of that a caregiver should say that, because the caregiver is seen as noble, you're doing the right thing, but you get frustrated. Yes, you get frustrated with the person you're loving and caregiving for. And there were days I got frustrated with her. And I think vulnerability, when you say vulnerability, vulnerability is also being able to show that you do get frustrated, you do get upset sometimes, you know. So vulnerability is not just showing the the hurt and the pain, but it's also being able to have room to be frustrated and to just show the world that you are that. And there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm. Nothing
Nothing.
wrong with that at all. Nothing. And I think that's the reason why a lot of men do cry in the car or find the wherever the place of solitude is for the man, because vulnerability in society that we live in, we say it's weak. And to me, that's the most powerful, the most genuine place you can be when you're vulnerable.
Exactly.
But those are my thoughts. You know, people do see things differently because of their different experiences, and I understand that as well. So, outside of vulnerability, what about transparency? How do you see that?
Transparency in terms of, I think, emotionally, you know, and transparently, I've been, as Val's Cheesecakes, we have been very transparent about a lot of things. There are a lot of topics that we just, bakers, bakery owners, don't talk about. And
Hmm.
I've even talked about how transparency cuts both ways. You know, as a
Yeah.
business owner, if you're going to be transparent, you got to know that it cuts both ways. And I've talked about a lot of things that a lot of, possibly some followers, some people don't want to hear about. And
Hmm.
but to me, it has served the brand, because, you know, I'm inside of this place. I don't know if you see the word love. You know, to
Hmm.
me, transparency goes hand in hand with love. And then there are some other words throughout the building about grace, dignity, and respect. I think if you're transparent with yourself, you're transparent with your customers, you're transparent with your followers, I think it will come through at the end of the day through the product you are providing or the service. So,
Hmm.
though, to me, throughout caring for my mom, I must say that I wasn't as transparent with her in terms of her prognosis. I knew that my mom was going to die for sure, but
Hmm.
I wanted specifically to remove that hurdle for her in order not to get not to fall into the prognosis of I got 6 months to live. And again, my mom did not give me 6 months. She gave me 4 beautiful years. And Lynn, I'm not saying it's not hearing the word terminal that saved my mom. There were some good treatments, some good doctors. We tried a lot of stuff, but I went through this town. I went like a crazy man, just trying to all kinds of treatment for my mom and all kinds of stuff. And to me, that transparency in that sense wasn't there, and I did not want my mother to hear the word terminal for sure. But
Mhm.
now I do realize with my customers, with my followers, and with friends and family, transparency goes hand in hand. And having a room like you are providing here for your
Mhm.
followers, for your anyone following you, this is exactly what we need. A room like
Mhm.
this. You're sitting on that sofa, and I'm sitting here at Val Cheesecakes. This is the perfect platform for exactly that.
Exactly. And that's the reason why I feel like every man that has come on and to come on and have that to be interviewed or have this conversation with me is at the level of transparency and vulnerability that I don't want to say is high, but so much that they don't want to feel ashamed anymore. Like they don't want to feel embarrassed about having feelings, no matter what they are. Strong feelings or intense feelings of sadness, happiness, frustration, whatever. And I appreciate you that for that because when I see you on like with your content and everything, I'm just like, I wonder if we would look at a percentage like how comfortable is he in his vulnerability or transparency? And I would say it's extremely high. What would you say? Like if you were to give me a percentage, let's just answer it this way. If you were to give me a percentage, like in vulnerability, what would that be? And then also, what would it be for transparency?
I think I feel that I'm 80%. I'm 80% transparent, and I feel one of the reason I'm transitioning from Val's Cheesecakes to Val's Blue Label, it's to
Mm-hmm.
get to that 100%. I do believe with the consulting services that we are going to be doing here, helping other businesses, I feel that I can talk freely about certain things. There are
Mm-hmm.
certain days, there are certain days, Lynn, I don't even want to be at Val's. Okay? Let's talk about the transparency there. There are days
Mm-hmm.
where I just want to, like, I drive up in my car, right? After losing it in my car about
Yeah.
something that happened during the day, and I show up in front of Val's, and I just want to drive off.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be able to talk about that. We need to be business
Mm-hmm.
owners need to be able to talk about that. I think social media 12 years ago
Yeah.
glamorized being a business owner.
Oh my God.
I don't
Yes.
think we had the whole truth on social media 12 years ago, a decade ago when I started, because it was all about these stories about I'm a lawyer, I'm going to open a PB&J shop in New York and I'm happy and stuff like that. But now I think social media is come because I am seeing a lot of people who are explaining this is what it takes to run a show. This is what it
Mm-hmm.
takes to run a bakery. This is the
Mm-hmm.
frustration you get. Don't think you're going to be just walking in and singing and dancing like I did. No, no, So in terms of transparency, I think I'm at 80, but Val's Blue Label will help me even more create more platforms and atmosphere for that exactly. Because there are some days where I don't want to see Val Cheesecakes. Okay,
You-
that's transparent.
and I was laughing outwardly and more inwardly because I too am an entrepreneur and people say that all the time. Oh my God, must be nice to help do this and do that. I'm like, what? Are you crazy?
No.
Like, are you insane out of your mind? Like that right there, in order for you to really be an entrepreneur, like your skin has to be like the toughest of the toughest. And it doesn't mean that, we still don't have those emotions because we do. But just being that entrepreneur, like you really like in your comments, like when you do your content and your branding and your products and all, like people have something to say
Exactly.
all
Exactly.
the time.
And then I've even talked about something as a bakery owner, talking about weight and image issues for men, body image issues for men. All right.
Correct.
This is unheard of. Here I am selling cheesecakes and I'm talking about body image issues for men, right? So that just to show you how over the years, after 12 years, I think it's really the last year,
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
last year of Val Cheesecakes, that I've been that transparent. And Lynn, again, it cuts both ways, okay? Don't think you're going to be transparent and that you're not going to have impacts. That impacts sales. There are
Right.
people who are not going to buy or not going to walk into Val's Cheesecakes because I'm talking about body image issues for men. So I do realize that there are two sides of things. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. And I,
Hmm.
I really appreciate the fact that you even said that because my friend is fine. Look, y'all, he is fine. But
Oh
still,
my God.
even though, you know, aesthetically you're pleasing doesn't
Oh,
mean on the inside you may not have other feelings, that are contrary to what we see. And I'm so glad you talk about body image because, just because you're fit or people say, oh, you look fit of this and that doesn't mean, like you said, well, I don't really believe that. Not to say that you do, but because you talk about body image, that is so important. Like you said, you are being vulnerable in that. You have these wonderful cheesecakes, and y'all keep plugging about these cheesecakes. Y'all need to go get these cheesecakes. You have these wonderful cheesecakes, and then you're like, oh, you're the owner? Most people may think like, oh my God, I thought you would be heavier or this or that or whatever it's like, but all that plays into everything that we're talking about. Like if you're having those type of days and you're talking about body image and then someone says something, it's just like, what do we do with that comment? How do I feel about that? Am I going to address it? Like, am I going to let it affect me? Those things.
exactly. And even so let's just be even more transparent. Lynn,
Hmm.
I don't know if you see, I have a little I had a blood test this morning, and I'm
Okay.
gonna reveal what's going on.
Okay.
I have my white blood cells have always been super low, and I've suffered that with all my whole life. It's been ridiculously low, and so my dad had cancer, and then my mom passed of cancer. So genetically, I'm almost like the poster child for for cancer, unfortunately to say. So I have a blood issue, a blood abnormality that my doctors now are now concerned of. So it's just so at 2:30 I have an appointment to, like, okay, this is what we need to. This is the plan. This is what we're gonna do. So, of course, this is something I did not expect. This is something that came out of the blue and stuff like that. So, I am saying all this is to tell you that transparency, I think, has value, and having a safe space like this, Lynn, where I can even say this, like, why am I Val for Val Cheesecake? You invited me, and now I'm talking about a potential blood cancer issue that I have. So this is exactly what I'm about, and this is what I want to be more about. And Lynn, if we can work on making sure that whatever I can do to support you, this podcast live continuously, I want more men to come on this and talk about this and have the courage and the space and the comfort, y'all, the comfort that Lynn has
Yeah.
provided here in order to do so.
And I thank you so much for even like sharing that because you didn't have to share that. You didn't even have to point that out like, hey, look at this or whatever. But and that lets me know again when we talk about vulnerability and transparency, it is available. And I don't know if you've always been that way. Like I don't know if you've always been like, oh yeah, this is what's happening. Maybe not. Maybe you have, but the fact that you did that today and shared that with us, that means so much to me. Again, you shared about your mom and now you're sharing about like what's going on with you. That lets me know like, hey, you feel comfortable, you feel safe enough to share this with me and also within
Yes.
yourself, you
Yes,
know.
and you have been a very, like, over the past few months, just the comments, real support, doesn't just come only by coming and buying a cheesecake. All right.
Right.
It's realizing and seeing through. I see sometimes you see some of my posts, and I think you see right through me. You see right through me, and when you
Yeah.
comment and stuff like that, I think that does a lot of wonders for a business owner. And I think there's so many ways we can all support different business owners, different men,
Hmm.
who are going through some issues in this life.
Correct. And I know, let's see with the time. I know you are pressed for time today. Like I said, I really appreciate that. Um, this is one question I do sometimes ask in this way, and sometimes different way, but I would like for you to say, whoever's watching live and those that are come back and watch the replay, when it comes to men sharing their feelings, their thoughts, their emotions, all of that, like what would you say to that man? What do you want to say right now for the man that's struggling, or the man that's trying to get in a space that's safe or find solitude? What would you say to him right now?
I would say the number one thing you need to do is to reach out to someone about what you're going through. I've talked about my depression, my sad. I suffer from depression over the years, and in 2022, it got me into a really dark space, and it took a customer noticing that I wasn't dancing as much on IG to point out, hey, I'm noticing you're not dancing as much. All right, what's going on? Are you okay? It's everything else. So she reached out to me, and the fact that she could discern that, I thought I had it together. I thought my social media, my cheesecakes looked good. I thought
Oh, where'd he go? If you can come back on, please. I don't know what happened. Um, but let's see. Maybe he can come back. I think he's trying to come back. I think he's trying to come back. Val, are you there? Okay. You whenever you can come back and close out. But I just wanted to say that's what it's all about, you guys. When you come on, when you find a place like this podcast, it's we're I want you to know when you come here, share your feelings, share your thoughts, share your emotions, because you're safe here. I think I've expressed that enough. Like when I come on, when you guys see me live, you're seen, you heard, you're supported. Man, this is exactly what we want you to understand. We want you to find space outside of your car. We want you to understand that there are other people that can help you. There are therapists, there's pastors if you want to go to pastors, there's support groups, there's life coaches, there's other people that can help you through those feelings, through those feelings and emotions, and they're not bad. Having feelings, having emotions are not bad. They're natural. That's what we talk about. That's who we are. Like if there's a situation like Val talked about, if there's a situation with his mom going through a disease that is terrible, it's okay to be angry, to be mad, to be frustrated. Like all those emotions are normal, So let's normalize that pain. Let's normalize having all those feelings and thoughts, without judging, without it not being a physical ailment or physical pain or physical break that people see. Um, so let's just normalize that. But yeah, I don't know if he was able to come back on. I think he only had 30 minutes with us today. But I want to say thank you to Val for coming on with us. Oh, he's back. Let's see if we got him. Yay! Okay, awesome.
all right, Lynn. Well, I don't have much. I think we need to continue this podcast, and
Mhm.
you will have me. I will come for another Monday for sure. I will spend the whole entire hour with you, and
Yes.
for sure. But I wanted the last question was if there's somebody suffering, handling some tough moments right now, I would definitely reach out to someone. That's the number one thing. If you can let somebody know what you're going through, where you can have, if that
Oh, we lost him again. All right, Val. I know you have somewhere to go. No problem. I don't know what's happening on your end, but that's okay. You'll be back. I want you to come back. We'll do a part 2 of this. But you guys follow Val's Cheesecake on Instagram. And I think his other is Val in the City or Val the City. I don't know, but Val's Cheesecake, there's 2 locations. One Greenville, and the one is at Ackerd. The one that's Greenville is going to be closing, but the one at Ackerd is going to be open. It's still going to be having classes, and then that's where it's Val in the Blue. Again, thank you so much for joining us today for Men Cry in the Car podcast. I'm your host, Lynn Meyer, the HRT coach, which stands for Healing, Restoration, and Transformation. And as I say always, I see you, I hear you, and I support you. Have a good one.